Welcome to this week's Motivational Monday. It would be really cool if our brains could tell us when they needed to be fed, wouldn't it? Think about this. When we're hungry, it calls for it. We get prompts, right? Physically, emotionally, mentally. But what if our brain could tell us when it needed certain things? I'm talking about more growth, more skill sets, etc. Just like your stomach does, for example, when we need to feed it, right? So here's a question for you. Here's a gut check for all of us, really. When I read that statement in a book recently, I thought, this is pretty cool. So gut check, 3 questions for you. What are you feeding your brain? Because you have to do this. You have to be proactive because it doesn't tell you. I wish it did. Like, hey, your skill set's lacking, the meter's going down, or hey, your mindset's not doing too good right now, or hey, you're getting negative, right? It doesn't have that. So number 1, what are you feeding your brain? Number 2, how often are you feeding it, right? Pretty cool. And 3, with who? I added the with who because exposure and proximity matters a whole bunch more than we realize. Like, it matters a whole bunch more than we realize. Let's think about exposure here. Let's think about books, whether it's audible or written. For me personally, books are when I'm sitting around on my deck overlooking the water, or I'm on a stationary bike. Audible is when I'm walking, running, hiking, or on the elliptical because I can't read. So I'm feeding it then, constantly trying to feed it. And I said, second question was how often? Well, do you schedule it? We have in our community, if you're in our community, I hope you know this, it's a little chart. It's very simple. It's called the Power of One Daily Discipline. I created it years and years ago. It was the impetus for that was a mastermind that we had back in the 1990s. I'm dating myself, with 5 of us. And we all were producing in the realtor world 100 plus homes a year. And Mike, who is in Florida to this day, he's still a realtor. He was doing, I think, 200 homes. And he said, hey guys, it was his turn to bring a topic to the mastermind that week. We get together every week. And he said, I got to figure it out. We're like, what's this big breakthrough? He said, if I accomplish what I need to every day, I can accomplish my year. I don't have to think about my year. I just need to accomplish what I need to accomplish every day. So I started the Power of One Daily Discipline, which just means one day at a time. You list the items on the left-hand side of the page, and then across the top is 1 through 31. It's self-accountability. It sits right here in my desk, right? So the Power of One Daily Discipline would be super helpful for you as far as getting it into your schedule and also getting it to be a habit. Coaches, mentors, mastermind, I just mentioned that's where I got the idea. Are you exposing yourself to that type of thing? If you're not in the Wicked Smart community yet, just know that we pointedly put things in the calendar to make sure that coaching, mentoring, masterminds, outside speakers are put in at certain strategic times to keep ourselves fed, right? That's what we do. If you're in the apprentice program, for example, you have access to someone or something Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's amazing. It's like by far the best thing we've done as a company. If you're in the associate experience levels, you not only have all those exposures, but you also have Slack, and you have Slack as an apprentice, but you also have one-on-one coaching. So then the next question, I said what are you feeding yours with, how often, with who? I'm hitting all that now because the how often is super important. Another example. In our most recent In the Trenches boot camp, we've actually done this twice now out of about a dozen of them. We bring in 10 or 15 of you. We're in our office here privately, like really hands-on, doing phone calls, etc. But in the midst of that, in day 2, I brought in Peter Taunton. Now, Peter Taunton has an amazing story. If you want his book, I'll give it to you. Just send an email or respond to the email and put Impossible Hill gift. And we will ship it out to you because I got a few left. And if they're out, don't bum out. But I got a bunch left from Peter. Now, Peter built one of the largest fitness brands in the world. Why did I bring him into a boot camp? Why am I offering you his book? Exposure, feeding the brain. Peter built that from very, 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 very modest beginnings. Living in the West, Dad had a little store, little, classical little town with a little store in it. And Peter was brought up in that environment and built an amazing, amazing thing. So that's just one example. But I call the associate levels experience levels because at each level is a different experience, and experiences matter. Okay. Now, how about your alone activities? I talked about the power of one daily discipline, but morning routine, for example. My morning routine is super, super important. With the exception of filming day, which is today, I don't hit them all, but the other 6 days I do. What are they? Well, a workout. It could be elliptical, stationary bike, run, walk, hike, right? Then it's get my very complicated cell phone out and push the button for the Calm app and meditate. Now, the meditation could be some visualization, some music. It's not a 20-minute thing. It's, for me, anywhere between 2 and 10 minutes. That's it. But those simple things are super important. When I'm doing the biking or the running, walking, whatever, as I said earlier, I'm reading or listening, and I'm also doing some affirmations. So even if I'm on the elliptical and I have the audible on, I might pause it, put the music on, some high upbeat music, and I might do affirmations. By the way, I got another book for you sitting here on my desk. If you want, and I don't know, I think we got a case of these left. This is my good friend John Alexandroff wrote Affirmations of Wealth. John passed away. Gosh, now it has to be several years ago. And his family asked us to sort of carry on his legacy with the books and some of the things he's written. He was an ex-attorney who turned author, speaker, and he wrote this book and 3 or 4 others. We have all of them. I will gift it to you. Just again, send an email saying Affirmations of Wealth gift, and I'll send it to you. You got to have your address on these guys so I can send them out to you. And again, when they're out, they're out. I grabbed this out of the closet to talk about it, and I think there's a case of those left. Now, liken your brain. I could go on and on to this, but I'm going to wrap up with this. Liken your brain in your personal growth to a rubber band, if you will, right? A rubber band. Because whatever you expose your brain to, whatever you feed it, it expands. And even though like a rubber band, when you pull it and it goes back to its normal size, it never goes back to its normal size. But you'll never know. It never goes back to its normal size. Just like when we feed our brain. So liken your brain to a rubber band. It'll constantly change and grow and adapt as you feed it. Okay? Think about that. Not sure where to get started? Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/get going for free books, strategy calls, and a whole bunch more. We're going to help you get going the wicked smart way. We've been after this for over a decade doing exactly that. And then just realize that a large portion of the population, I don't know if it's 98 or 97% of whatever, won't accomplish all their goals. They're not going to go out every single day, do whatever it takes, no matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult, how many challenges come at them to accomplish all their goals, no matter what. They're not going to do it, right? Here's another stat I found recently. Less than 3% of the population will actually become first-generation millionaires. Will you? You can. Like in our community, the deals are worth 45 grand to 350 grand roughly, but even if it was less, what if it was 35 grand? Just for disclosure, I'm not saying, I don't know you, I don't know what yours will be, but that's the averages throughout the last 11 or 12 years, and you can tap into that. And when things feel uneasy or hard or make you feel uncomfortable, good. That's what you want. You're feeding it, right? I'll give you a quick example, we'll wrap. I coach a private group called the President's Club. Every 2 or 3 years, I get enough energy up and enough schedule bandwidth, and I go, hey, I'm going to start a private group, and I'm going to pour into this group personally, me, and all the coaches. Well, this past week, I only have 6 members in the President's Club. They work with me. They have a very advantageous to them split, and I work one-on-one now. Well, this weekend, out of the 6, 3 of them got new take-ins, what we call take-ins, a home under contract, new deals. Now, that's cool. That's worth celebrating. Everybody will celebrate this week. But that wasn't easy for any one of them to get into President's Club. Price tag wasn't low. The workload's not low. They got to report to me every single night by audio text, so I know what they're doing from an accountability standpoint. These are the things we put in place that other people are not willing to put in place. And I'm talking about individuals and companies like us. So I'd love to hang out with you. If you want to hang out with us, the Apprentice is a great place to start, or one of the experience levels, the associate levels. But the Apprentice, you can check it out, smartrealestatecoach.com/apprentice YouTube. Guys, I hope this got you thinking a little bit about feeding the brain. Go out and feed it and be conscious of feed it and have an awesome week. See you next week.